Travis, what are you hearing from BC growers? What are you hearing about other growers that are your size or in your situation? What do they want? What are they looking for?
Well, I think there's sort of two classes of them. There's the class which does encompass most of us that believe that this industry can't survive without us, that we are the reason that legalization is happening, that the people that have been in civil disobedience for all this time are what are causing the social change, so to lock us out isn't going to stop us. I mean, for the most part, I would say that well over 95% of all cannabis consumed in Canada is produced from an illicit source right now. And I would say that in order to try to eliminate that on a federal level, or however they want to put it, eliminate the black market, they need us. I think the second thing is if the rules are overbearing, people who are civilly disobedient under an illegal paradigm are going to remain civilly disobedient under a civil paradigm. I don't think anything's going to change there. The weird thing about C-45 is that it's actually still a criminal paradigm. So I'm not really sure if we can call it full-on legalization. You know, if people can go to jail for long periods of time for violating this, I'm not sure it's really legalization. No one's going to jail for 14 years for selling tobacco or something like that. Now, I mean...
Well, and we've also got interesting things where, like, the City of Toronto last week actually pushed for heavier penalties than in the Criminal Code of Canada, which doesn't make any sense at all.
And then we have all of the court precedent, right? So it's like, okay, I can go hire my lawyer, fire up my grow and my dispensary and be public. They come and arrest me. It's a publicity stunt for me, and then I sue the government. I don't think that the government wants to see that. I know the public doesn't want to pay the bill for that. So, you know, this is what we're going to end up with if it ends up confrontational, and this is why it shouldn't be a confrontational thing. There's going to be the federal paradigm of the big businesses, the big box growers that are going to have their federal licenses. But there has to be an allowance for the small grower that distributes locally to not be regulated by the federal government, because that's how it works in almost everything else. You know, it's like the craft breweries that have a lounge that don't sell to liquor stores, don't wholesale, you know, they sell to a few pubs around. The federal government's not coming in there for anything other than a health inspection. And that's how we should be treating small, local, like, again, the word craft or artisanal comes out there. It's hard to put a meaning on it, but I think it does it helps sort of define what we're looking at here. And most of the growers I know that want to be part of the regulated environment just want some clarity. Like, I don't know where I stand. I would love to be able to get a license on my own for a small facility or multiple small facilities. I'd love to get funding for a large facility. There's a lot of things I'd like to do, but right now we're in the middle of this situation where, because I'm not a large medical producer, I'm a nothing. And so it's difficult for us to know what steps to take. So we tend to just throw stuff at the wall and hope something works. And that's what we're going to see for the next, like, up until July. You know, you're going to see people that want to be involved in the regulated market try and find 10 different things that might be regulatable just to get one through. And and maybe not even one, you know, and maybe, like, I don't think the BC government, we've had lots of interactions with the Green Party in particular on the island, because that's where they won their seats. And yeah, they're very pro, you know, free market, craft cannabis. They recognize the number of jobs and the amount of money that goes, like, the BC economy, people often refer to the cash economy in small towns in BC. That's all cannabis money. You know, there's tens of thousands of jobs in this province that, with Ontario regulating the way they have, they're costing BC jobs right now. And this is something the BC government needs to recognize, is that, yeah, they're illegal jobs. They're illicit jobs right now. But that money is still part of our economy that still gets spent on couches and movies and food, and, you know, that still pays people's wages. They pay their rent with that and feed their kids with that. So I would like to see our provincial government recognize the inherent value of this local economy that's been here for decades already. If every other province shuts us out, then we are losing jobs in British Columbia. Our small craft quality product needs to be able to be distributed across the country.
Well, and it did used to be something similar with alcohol. I mean, I remember when you couldn't get kokanee outside of BC. That was a BC beer, and you could only get it in BC. And so I was kind of hoping we might see something like that, at least as a kind of beginning step. Rosie, does this match what you're hearing from growers and extraction producers?
Oh, for sure. I mean, if given the opportunity, they want to be regulated. I mean, this is what it's really all about. But it's, again, having sensible regulations that they can actually meet. There's no point in putting out regulations that it costs millions of dollars to get in, and that's not the craft industry. So I think no matter what happens, it's great we've got this deadline for legalization to begin. but whoever said it, it's just the start. It's going to be a shit show. That's one guarantee. It's going to be a shit show. And it's going to be like that for a few years to come. And I think leading off on what you were saying at the provincial level, and we've started these talks now and putting the bug in their ear about the craft and local market that should be provincially regulated. I mean, you'll have the big growers that are regulated and they're going to be brought into the Cannabis Act, but the provinces, and if the feds fail and it is a shit show and there's not enough product or whatever the capacity issues or moving product across jurisdictions, which could be blocked, which, by the way, the Como case is going to be heard. They just got leave to appeal to the Supreme Court of Canada, and Mark Emery with Cannabis Culture filed through Kirk intervener status, which means that they're not a specific participant. They're not a party to the Supreme Court of Canada case, but they have an interest in the outcome of the matter, so they file as an intervener so that they can go speak to the Supreme Court of Canada on the issues that they feel would affect the industry as a whole. So that's happening. So it's breaking down barriers. And so we have already...
we also have a couple constitutional challenges to the ACMPR still in play as well.
We've got the MMARs, which, I mean, bless them. Like, let's face reality. These were the first growers in the entire world to operate under regulation, to apply for a license and operate, whether they're DGs or personal. So anyone who wants to put down the growers that exist today, when the majority of them have been already operating under regulation, is a bullshit argument. These people want to be regulated.